Ladies and gentlemen, please find your seats. And please stand in honor of the class of 2020. You may be seated. Good morning. Welcome, graduating seniors, parents, guardians, faculty, and staff to the long-awaited Chapel Hill Chauncy Hall School commencement exercises for the class of 2020. Thank you so very much for joining us on this glorious and warm morning. On behalf of the CHCH Board of Trustees, who are with us in spirit, we commend and honor our graduating seniors today during a truly remarkable and extraordinary time in both our nation's history and in human history. I begin by thanking members of the class of 2020, as well as their parents and guardians, for their patience and support in allowing the school the necessary time to safely create and convene a memorable commencement exercises for our senior class. Let us also extend our appreciation to the primary event organizer for this year's commencement, our 2020 Chapel Hill Chauncy Hall Society Prize winner, Ms. Stephanie Daniels. Also, please join me in thanking two members of the class of 2021 for their willingness to serve as class marshals today, Christian Tremenkovich and Sophia Blair Golden. With great appreciation, I would now like to introduce a highly dynamic poet, songwriter, performer, author, workshop facilitator, activist, educator, and human, Mr. Reggie Gibson. I've known Reggie for several years and witnessed various performances, speeches, and reflections that, frankly, have brought me to tears. No surprise there. Mr. Gibson has taught and lectured at schools, universities, theaters, and various other venues in 7 countries. In 2018, here at CHCH, Mr. Gibson also taught some classes, facilitated workshops, and shared reflections on social and racial justice as our baccalaureate speaker for the 2018 commencement. I again thank Mr. Spencer, Ms. Lacoste, and Ms. Woodward for opening their classes and students' minds to Mr. Gibson's resonance. I'm honored to welcome back to campus this formal National Poetry Slam individual champion and Artist of the Year for excellence in poetry, as selected by the Chicago Tribune. He has co-judged the Chicago Sun-Times poetry competition and has been regularly featured on National Public Radio and has appeared on HBO's Def Poetry Jam. Mr. Gibson is widely published in anthologies, magazines, and journals throughout the country. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in providing a very warm welcome to Mr. Reggie Gibson.
Good morning to all. I want to thank Dr. Conrad for inviting me to come back to CHCH to be part of this graduation, which I'm happy to say is convening. It's always a pleasure for me to participate and acknowledge in the hard work of educating young minds, or rather guiding, I would say, young minds toward better self-education. Because you will receive a couple of educations or more in your life. One, of course, is through the matriculation into institutions of higher learning, if you are indeed fortunate. And the others will come through you gathering and questioning. And you will find many of other types of education in unexpected places. And hopefully these will enable you to understand better how to move through the body of this world, not as a disease, but as an agent of healing. One constancy which has helped me to do this is a profound engagement with the profound meaning of profound words. This, I believe, has its genesis in this book. This is a dictionary, an actual one. And it was given to me by my uncle when I was on my 7th birthday. If you were here, you'd be able to see that it is particularly well loved, which is why I keep it in plastic. Now, this was an unexpected gift from an unexpected place because my uncle was a drug abuser. Well, he had no money, so he was a junkie, is what we called them at the time. And what he felt was that he had nothing to contribute. And he said something along the lines of, "You seem to be pretty good with them words. I ain't got no use for this. Take it." It took me just over 2 years to read this entire book. And I read it from cover to cover, and I found many profound words with profound meanings. One of them has been on my mind a lot lately. It is the word democracy. Here's the meaning of that word according to this book. It says, government by the people directly through representation. A country with such government. And lastly, and most profoundly, equality of rights, opportunity, and treatment. As I read and engaged more with great words from great minds, many of them American, I came across the works of one Mr. Walt Whitman, poet of American democracy, wrote a book called Democratic Vistas in 1871. Walt Whitman was called up and called forth by a man named Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "Can we have a bard that speaks the truth that this country needs to hear? One that has broken its connection to Europe and can speak to this opening land in which we find ourselves." And Whitman stepped up and said, "I'll take a bit of that." And in his book, Democratic Vistas, he wrote, "I cannot too often repeat that democracy is a word, the real gist of which still sleeps quite unawakened. It is a great word, whose history, I suppose, remains unwritten because that history has yet to be enacted." When I read that from Whitman, it hit me that this understanding that words have meaning was wrong. Words do not have meaning. Words have usages. Meaning comes from what we give to those words, how we enact the abstract that these words ask us to enact. So this is a story of where we are and where we could be right now in this place of democracy. In this story, truth is a joke, and democracy is its punchline. In this story, our leaders' mouths are so often dangerous. They wound us until we are gangrenous. So often they disease us, dumb us, numb us into ethical hypnosis and civic sleep. In this story, we see ourselves keeping our ears budded so we can hear the shrill call of blood and soil. We can say we did not hear that. We did not hear the rising white supremacist howl of Jews will not replace us. In this story, we keep our heads down and swear we did not see tiki torches not seeing the night, did not see the police putting holes in all those black boys. Besides, they had it coming. They always have it coming. This is the story in which we continue to other each other, scapegoat one another for our generational failings. This is the story where Congress is Robin Hood, gone wrong, redirecting billions that could have helped the ragged to give to the already rich. In this story, many of us play the oblivious, the ignorant one that ignores, who at this point in the story begin thumbing our screens for distraction, turning up the music to the maximum, pretending not to hear the darkness, growling. Yes, brothers and sisters and others, this story is seductive. It doesn't always yell at us, no. Sometimes it whispers in the dark recesses of our minds, saying, "Come, tell me of your prejudices, and I will darken. Come, let my arms harbor and embrace your harms, and I will darken. Come, let me turn those harms into howl and foul you into a whirlwind of machete and bullet, and I will darken." And it whispers until we barely notice how it lives inside us, how it divides us, how it drives us to reduce each other to these thin, stereotyped scrims of race and religion and politics and gender. And sometimes, when someone shows us a mirror, we see our contorted faces, catch ourselves swaying in the spell of it, and we become ashamed and are tempted to run in fear of our own ugly. But we must not run, for we have done that before. For this story is not new. We have lived this before. And we know there has always been those who will always say and live in the darkness of this country. A darkness that has kept us blinded to who we could become. Yet also, we know there have been those who would look into that darkness, cling to each other, and muster the courage to stand against it and dare to speak the light. There have always been those who refuse to play the oblivious, the one who ignores. Yes, there have always been and will always be those who would rewrite themselves as new characters and become she that rises up, he who voices the better angels of our nature, they that demand that our body politic become more, demand that it move toward a more perfect union by fighting the viruses of our worst isms, our sexism, racism, ageism, colorism, culturalism, reductionism, fascism. Those who demand that our nation embraces its better isms, egalitarianism, altruism, volunteerism, humanism, and then further demand that we create and coin other, even better isms, like you have the right to remain black and unkilled ism. You have the right to not be sexually assaulted and harassed ism. You have the right to exist and to thrive ism. You have the right to have your voice heard ism. You have the right to be addressed and treated with dignity and respect ism. I will stop turning my back on your pain ism. I will stand up for the civil and human rights of another ism. Yes, we have always had and will always need those who will work little by little to heal this too wounded nation with a democratized form of love. A love demanding a new patriotism, A patriotism that cannot be stitched into clothing, cannot be made into only a slogan. A patriotism that goes beyond "I love America," but one that says "I love Americans," and one that says "I love humanity." A patriotism demanding that we all help all who have fallen on hard times to stand. A patriotism that means caring enough to make sure that a child's hunger goes away so she can sleep at night. A patriotism that knows it's right to ensure that all can afford higher education, knows that a great nation must enrich each citizen intellectually, for to do so effectively raises its people's collective capacity to think and consider critically so that its democracy doesn't fall prey to a clownish and perverted brown-shirted inanity, to a hypnotic and demagogic insanity. A patriotism that is deeper than ham-fisted bluster and swagger, deeper than bullying or surface flag waving, but a patriotism that is a lived civic virtue, demands accountability, demands integrity, is ethically behaving, a patriotism demanding its leaders' allegiance to its nation's people by full-throatedly saying and actively displaying that every American is well worth the effort of saving. And there are times when we are in our better minds, when we can sense it, almost feel it, that nascent flickering of true and active citizenship. Sometimes we glance it like the humped backs of dolphins breaking above the ocean of the civically possible. Hear it through the din and the clatter of the media noise machine, insistently whispering from the sunlit corners of our minds, asking us to wield our social sword and shield and pledge our civic word and will to build and maintain a true republic, a res publica, a thing of the people in which we all can heal. When it calls to you, listen to that voice. It may come to you from unexpected places. Remember it as you begin to write the new narrative of this country, one of inclusion, one in which we embrace self-reflection and introspection, embrace our discomfort to enable equity and a deeper connection so we can honestly listen and open to each other's different perspectives and learn to engage beyond our own political rage so we can practice true democracy. Yes, we need a new narrative, one in which we accept that sharing power empowers us all. A new narrative for a new world in which we break down these walls between us so we can hold hands, heal each other of these broken legs that we've all learned to limp with, and finally move forward together, step by trembling step, into that welcoming, eye-aching light, into a shining America that reflects the best truth of who we know we are, what this country can be: expansive, accepting, beautiful, and bright. Thank you.
Mr. Reggie Gibson. I'd like to extend my personal appreciation to Mr. Reggie Gibson for joining us and sharing his keen wisdom with the class of 2020 and all of us gathered here today. At this time, unfortunately, Mr. Gibson must depart to teach one of his summer courses at Emerson College. We want to thank Reggie. He's given us a lot to embrace, to reflect upon, to think about. And I again ask everyone to give our thanks and appreciation to Reggie for joining us this morning. This year, we have two salutatorians in the class of 2020. Our first salutatorian is Benjamin Grazel. Benjamin is an exceptionally talented scholar with an incredibly sharp intellect. Engaging in conversation with him is rewarding, enlightening, and thought-provoking. His academic talents encompass a wide spectrum, and his intellectual curiosity continuously expands those limits. His goal is always to put theory into practice, truly valuing and utilizing his education. He is constantly seeking challenges and opportunities to improve. Benjamin works to channel his quest for knowledge into positive actions for change. We experienced this as a community when Benjamin's initial research paper on teen depression for his psychology course morphed into a presentation to our curriculum committee and the successful advocacy for later start times for the school day. We are truly excited to see where Benjamin takes himself and know the community he joins at Dartmouth College will feel the same way. Please welcome the intellectually curious and courageous Benjamin Grazel.
Hi, everyone. So when I first went out to write this, I asked for advice on what the salutatory speech was supposed to be about. I was told it was supposed to be kind of light and comedic. So I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm finding it a little bit difficult to be light and especially difficult to be comedic right now. I think it's a terrible time for really everyone. But I think that makes it all the more important to try to keep a positive note as much as possible. So towards that end, I thought I might just come up with some positive, uplifting stories that I came across and wanted to share with you. I spent a bunch of time looking for some to put in this speech, and I don't know what I was expecting, but it was actually a really good exercise for me. Once you start looking, you can find so many examples. Sorry, can you all hear me in the back row? Great, thank you. You can really find so many examples of people caring for each other, and it just makes you realize how much people like to support one another. And you see that in so many places. You see it from the online gatherings of TV actors, the Office, Parks and Recreation, that are just coming together, doing a little show, trying to help people. You see it in the artists who are performing shows online. I've seen 3 different graduation ceremonies so far, and I wasn't even looking out to try to find them. People just wanted to support the class of 2020. The One World concert, featuring dozens of artists and really well-renowned people, talented people who streamed it online, they raised $125 million for the World Health Organization. And there's the 100-year-old war veteran who raised another $30 million all by himself. There's the 2 little girls who spent their allowance just to buy toilet paper for the elderly when the stores ran out and they didn't have any left over. The British government reached out and they asked for 250,000 volunteers to help with the COVID response effort. But they had to shut down the site in 5 days because in just 5 days, they got 3 times that number of responses and couldn't process all of them. And above all, our healthcare workers are just incredible. I was reading about a hospital that has a protocol called Code Joy. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. Every time that a patient recovers from COVID, they announce Code Joy over the loudspeaker, and everyone in the hospital starts cheering and celebrating, and they welcome that person back out to the world. They all come together, and even though they're working 24/7 to support all of us, they still manage to do small things like that just to make everyone feel better. And they're recognized for it, too. There's so many stories about people who are just getting boxes of homemade cookies or personal protective equipment on their doorstep. Doctors, nurses, people who are working to support us. We noticed that. The NFL was giving them access to their hotels. The closed restaurants were making food, meals for the night shift at the hospital. And gratitude for them is everywhere. It's online, it's on the TV, on people's mailboxes. It's even spray painted on the underside of I-95. But it's not just individuals who are supporting each other right now. The global community is also coming together. So the New York Times is tracking 165 different vaccine efforts across the world, 6 of which are already in phase 3 clinical trials, and world governments are bankrolling these in a way that we've just never seen before. There are companies which have individually received billions of dollars of support for an uncertain product, and the value assigned to time is just staggering. The Gates Foundation is building equipment to manufacture 7 different vaccines, all still in trials, so that when the time comes to pick one, they will have a short head start. That means that billions of dollars will be spent on useless equipment. And that's a sacrifice that was made just so that some of us might be able, when the time comes, to get a vaccine a little bit sooner. Billions of dollars wasted for that little bit of time. So there's one other thing I'd like to talk to you about. You've probably heard something about space missions recently, but they got a little swallowed up by the news cycle. But I just wanted to highlight something. So NASA launched a new rover, Perseverance, to Mars. It's the first of 3 Mars missions launched this summer, and this rover it's a collection of firsts. It's going to be able to hear the Martian atmosphere, and this will mark the first time that audio from the red planet comes back home. It's the first time a mission will purposefully seek out biosignatures of the kind left by microbial life forms. It'll drill for samples to conduct those tests on, and those samples will be set aside in preparation for a second trip to bring them back home from Mars. That trip won't occur for a while, but it's the beginning of the first time we will ever bring something back home from that planet. Yet most interestingly of all is the helicopter that's Ingenuity that's setting down with Perseverance. If it works, if it flies, that drone will be able to give us a bird's eye view of the terrain, and it will be the first vehicle ever flown on another planet. So that might seem a little bit odd to mention here. I'm mentioning it partly because I get really excited about Mars. But I also think it speaks to a profound aspect of human nature. Discovery and innovation always march on. I don't know about you, but I find that incredibly uplifting. So that's what I've got for you. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. I hope you enjoyed something I talked about. Finding these stories online, nice stories online, was honestly a great exercise for me. I'd highly recommend it for anyone who's looking for a break from the doom loop of the media cycle. Thank you all for listening.
Our second salutatorian is Chauncy Harsin Liu. Harsin is a talented and sensitive student. He is a deep thinker and loves rolling an idea around, examining it from different perspectives, and shifting and manipulating it to see where he can extract information. Harsin's curiosity spans disciplines, but his passion lies in creation. He wants to take ideas from genesis to fruition and is always looking for opportunities to build his skill set. Harsin is able to take his time with his areas of inquiry and really wander around in them, soaking in every last bit of knowledge. A talented pianist, Harsin's performance is a continuation of this graceful ease and flow through life and intellectual pursuits. Nothing about him is rushed or pressed. It is both in the way he plays piano and the way he approached his role as a teaching assistant in Calculus 2 this past year. His calm presence helps others find their peace and can lower the anxiety level significantly in a room full of frantic teenagers. Harsin's creativity and entrepreneurial spirit will be as much appreciated at Babson College as it was here at CHCH. Please welcome the voice of the musing and musical, Harsin Liu.
Good morning, teachers, parents, family members, staff, and most importantly, the class of 2020. Congratulations, we've all finally made it here. My name is Harsin Liu, and I'm supposed to be here to deliver a generic speech about how we're all great and pretend we all want you to show up in this morning dressed in Jedi robes just to get a piece of paper. I kid, of course. A graduation is much more than just a piece of paper. Dr. Conrad once said, as a community, the relational trust and the experience we have with individuals in the community, all of this needs to be done in person. That's why I showed up, but unfortunately, I am unable to attend this graduation commencement in person, and I would like to apologize for that. I also want to take a moment to thank you all, the class of 2020, and all of the faculty and staff. Thank you all for taking an unforgettable 4 years journey with me. While I was writing this speech, I wanted to fashion some grand address about the importance of pursuit of knowledge and how we can all change the world. Standard graduation speech stuff. In reflecting on the past for IDSO, I came to the realization that we've all gained something more important than education during our time here at CHCH. Friendship. Sure, we've all learned things, important things, that will help us get into colleges, become leaders, and succeed in life. It wasn't the desire just to get all A's or picking up packages from the mailroom every day that got me through this past 4 years though. It was all of you, my friends, my charter family, who made the difference. I still remember the first day of school. I was too shy to speak, to reach out to people, and to make friends with them. Then I got into the theater, where I was surrounded by all of the cast members. They're welcoming, caring, friendly, and I soon became a part of the theater family. These are simple words, but they're the most important characters that we, chargers, have, and it means a lot to me. Muhammad Ali once said, "If you haven't learned the meaning of friendship, you really haven't learned anything." Well, I've learned that friends are those who are there when you need them, and I'll be cherishing the bond I've made it here for the rest of my life. Which I suppose, in my way of saying friends, you should be expecting a call from me down the line when I need to borrow money. In all seriousness though, I love you guys. We all have a bright future, and I hope we can all be there for each other as we continue our journey. Go Chargers! Go class of 2020! Thank you.
This year's valedictorian is Denise Alata. Intellectually curious and courageous, Denise is a deep thinker who is driven to action. She possesses a wide range of interest and knows that the themes of social justice, political engagement, and cultural fluency will persist throughout her academic trajectory. She wants to tell stories and educate the world about marginalized communities and often hidden lives, and is interested in studying film as a way to do that. Denise is a beautiful writer and eloquent communicator, and flexible in how she engages with different audiences. She does not come to situations armed with her knowledge, but rather sees it as a foundation to build upon. She manages to be wise without the benefit of hindsight for more than a handful of years, and prudent while maintaining a sense of humor and whimsy. Denise's intelligence does not separate her from her peers. She is accessible and inclusive and works to bring others along with her, sharing her curiosities and interests. Her leadership is collaborative, and she finds joy in everything she does. Denise is going to make a difference in the world and at her next home, Barnard College of Columbia University. We are grateful to have witnessed a small part of her trajectory. Please welcome the indelible Denise Salata.
Oh, yeah, but I can't. I guess I'll just use. No, no, no. This is fine. Here, I'll do this actually. Just gonna raise it a little bit. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, members of the Chapel Hill Chauncy Hall community. Despite having different roles within our community, I'm gonna raise this up a little bit. Despite having different roles within our community, whether it be faculty, staff, student, or parent, all of us have gathered here for a momentous occasion, to celebrate the commencement of the class of 2020. We have traveled a road. It's hot up here, I gotta take some rest. We have traveled a road battered by an unprecedented global pandemic and a revolution for equality and justice for Black people in this country. However, through it all, we are prevailing and will continue to do so even as we move on from high school. For those of you who don't know me already, my name is Denise Salata and I am this year's valedictorian. Standing here were my predecessors, Tianyan Yu of the class of 2017, Vivian Lee of the class of 2018, and Noah Dunn of the class of 2019 once stood feels surreal. But indicative of the journey I set myself on as I watched the commencement ceremony 3 years ago following my freshman year. For as long as I can remember, I have always been a hard worker. Anyone from my elementary, middle, or high school can tell you that. I had the highest GPA in elementary school for reading with high proficiency and coloring inside the lines. In middle school, I pushed myself by balancing the work of school, the academic program I was in, New Jersey Seeds, and my personal life. In high school, I involved myself anywhere and wherever I could. Freshman year, I joined clubs like the Students of Color Alliance, or SOCA for short, Sisters United, a feminist club that found its place interspersed among other student organizations like Feminish that we started this year at NHS, and Relay for Life, a committee for the fundraising of money to be used towards cancer research and the American Cancer Society. Every year of high school, I pushed myself more. I have to be more involved, work harder in school, make more friends, acquaintances, allyships. I need to be the best and prove to my freshman year self that I set out to be the valedictorian and accomplished it. I had programmed myself from a young age to focus on school for the majority of my life until I could finally relax in my 30-bedroom, 6.5-bathroom mansion, complete with a trophy room, jacuzzi, and tennis court for no other reason than to say I have a tennis court. This, as you can imagine, is not the healthiest mindset, but it brought me to this moment, right? As a result, my mental health was put on the back burner for years and manifested itself as anxiety, physical aches, and so many more things that could have been prevented or managed had I learned to take care of myself first before taking care of my grades. I say all this to say, don't be me and try to do what I did. Academic success is not everything, and I know that's hypocritical coming from someone who has found so much of it, but it's true. Nothing is more important than having mental stability, especially in a time where we're being blatantly lied to by our government, the people around us, and ourselves. If you can sleep at night knowing that you are happy with who you are and what you will become, that you love yourself and others, that will always be worth more than missing the mark on an essay or not consistently outperforming your peers in the classroom. I know that I would have wanted my younger self to hear those words when I first began my high school career. Beyond the academic realm, I have been and will continue to be involved in a fight for social justice long into my time at college and the future. I'd like to take some more time of your time today to read you all the final words of the late Congressman John Lewis. I challenge you all to listen with intent and to make change as my class and generation have already set out to do. While my time here has now come to an end, I want you to know that in the last days and hours of my life, you inspired me. You filled me with hope about the next chapter of the great American story when you use your power to make a difference in our society. Millions of people motivated simply by human compassion laid down the burdens of division. Around the country and the world, you set aside race, class, age, language, and nationality to demand respect for human dignity. That is why I had to visit the Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, though I was admitted to the hospital the following day. I just had to see and feel it for myself that after many years of silent witness, the truth is still marching on. Emmett Till was my George Floyd. He was my Rayshard Brooks, Sandra Bland, and Breonna Taylor. He was 14 when he was killed, and I was only 15 years old at the time. I will never ever forget the moment when it became so clear that he could have easily been me. In those days, fear constrained us like an imaginary prison, and troubling thoughts of potential brutality committed for no understandable reason were the bars. Though I was surrounded by two loving parents, plenty of brothers, sisters, and cousins, their love could not protect me from the unholy oppression waiting just outside that family circle. Unchecked, unrestrained violence and government-sanctioned terror had the power to turn a simple stroll to the store for some Skittles or an innocent morning jog down a lonesome country road into a nightmare. If we are to survive as one unified nation, we must discover what so readily takes root in our hearts that could rob Mother Emanuel Church in South Carolina of her brightest and best, shoot unwitting concert goers in Las Vegas, and choke to death the hopes and dreams of a gifted violinist like Elijah McClain. Like so many young people today, I was searching for a way out, or some might say a way in. And then I heard the voice of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on an old radio. He was talking about the philosophy and discipline of nonviolence. He said we are all complicit when we tolerate injustice. He said it is not enough to say it will get better by and by. He said each of us has a moral obligation to stand up, and speak out. When you see something that is not right, you must say something. You must do something. Democracy is not a state, it is an act. And each generation must do its part to help build what we call the beloved community, a nation and world society at peace with itself. Ordinary people with extraordinary vision can redeem the soul of America by getting in what I call good trouble, necessary trouble. Voting and participating in the democratic process are key. The vote is the most powerful nonviolent change agent you have in a democratic society. You must use it because it is not guaranteed. You can lose it. You must also study and learn the lessons of history because humanity has been involved in this soul-wrenching existential struggle for a very long time. People on every continent have stood in your shoes, though decades and centuries before you. The truth does not change, and that is why the answers worked out long ago can help you find solutions to the challenges of our time. Continue to build union between movements stretching across the globe because we must put away our willingness to profit from the exploitation of others. Though I may not be here with you, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. When historians pick up their pens to write the story of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation who laid down the heavy burdens of hate at last, and that peace finally triumphed over violence, aggression, and war. So I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. On behalf of my class, I want to thank everyone that we have come across during our journeys here at CHCH. All of you have shaped and molded us into who we are, whether it was for the better or the worse. This school still has a long way to go, but I can safely say that our class has left it a degree better than we found it. Our work, and the work of classes before us, led to the founding of the position of Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I look forward to seeing the change you foster in this school, Miss Nikki Turpin, wherever you are. And don't crack under the knowledge that many of us are still keeping watch of our school and its progression towards inclusivity, particularly for our students and faculty of color. I say that so you know that there are many alumni that will be standing behind you in the fight. To people who have qualms against our fight for social justice, history will leave you behind as we all rejoice in each other's similarities and differences. Like Mr. Lewis said, when you see something that is not right, you must say something. You must do something. It is not enough to simply tolerate others' differences, but we must actively engage ourselves in being anti-racist, homophobic, sexist, and all those other isms and phobias that divide us. By educating ourselves and one another, and also accepting when we are wrong so that we may make the necessary reparations for our actions. To the class of 2020, heed these words and we can change the world for the better. I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors, and please keep each other in mind through these tough times as we move forward. Thank you.
I'd like to thank and congratulate our valedictorian, Denise Salata, as well as our co-salutatorians, Benjamin Grazel and Harson Liu. Please join me in another hand for them, please. We will now present diplomas to the members of the class of 2020. This year, however, there's always a however, we will take a novel approach to the conferring of diplomas. On the table before me, each graduating senior has a CHCH diploma as well as a certificate welcoming them to the CHCH Alumni Society. When each graduate's name is called in alphabetical order by last name, we invite not only the graduating senior, but also the graduate's parents and/or guardians to collect, present, and pass the diploma to their loved one. Our program directors, Ben Riggs and Kelly Walsh, will help cue the proper diplomas to our parents and guardians. This presentation should include a congratulatory family hug that we are unable to give, and a quick family photograph from our very talented photography educator, Alice Solero, here in the front. After the photograph has been taken, we will kindly ask that both the graduate as well as their parent and guardian return to their respective seats before the next graduate's name is announced. While this process may take a little bit longer than usual, we will only be honoring 31 attending graduates in this way today. I will also be announcing the names of 11 absent members of the class of 2020. And I ask that you join me in applauding their accomplishments when I call their name in alphabetical order. They are most likely watching this live via Facebook or YouTube. So let's show them a little bit of love. This morning, as members of the class of 2020 come forward to accept their diplomas, you'll notice that 10 seniors are wearing gold cords to represent their membership in the National Honor Society. There are 4 additional international students who are not with us that also earned this distinction. I wish to take a moment to publicly commend the great leadership of NHS co-presidents Caroline Burke and Sarah Murphy, as well as the faculty advisor, Sarah Orban. We now invite each of our graduates to come forward for community recognition and to greet their parents and or guardians at our diploma table for the conferring of the CHCH diploma as the graduate's name is announced. And I invite Ms. Kelly Walsh, 9th and 10th grade program director, and Mr. Ben Riggs, our 11th and 12th grade program director, to help cue the diplomas for our parents and guardians coming to the table. Ariel Alexis. Haley Boki. Caroline Mia Burke. Sydney Elizabeth Burke. An Che, in absentia. Zihan Cho, in absentia. Samuel Donlin. Zachary Gardner. Benjamin Gold. Dylan Gomes. Hannah Goodman. Benjamin A. Grazel. Joseph Henry. Joshua Carl Hostein. Shuaichi Huang, in absentia. Jackson Ivy. Jasper Khan, in absentia. Melody Irina K. Haley Charlotte Kyle. Maeve Rose Kidd. Denisa Lata. Henry Keong Lebed. Yachi Liu in absentia. Genchi Liu in absentia. Sia Ran Luo in absentia. Michaela Murdoch in absentia. Lauren Murphy. Sarah Murphy. Sophie Popiishvili. Megan Reynes. Benjamin Rothman. Aiden Rihan Shengun. Vanita Sirawat Anawang in absentia. Cameron Smith. Elena Lee Smith. Jahwe Swan in absentia. Kyle Vieira. Alicia Elizabeth Walker. Jessica Ward. Simon Weiss. Nia Francis Williams. And Runchi Zheng, in absentia. As is tradition at commencement ceremonies throughout the country, I would now like to invite the graduates to turn their tassels to signify that you are indeed graduates. Class of 2020, please turn those tassels. We kindly ask that you not throw your caps into the air today due to safety guidelines. Congratulations, graduates. You are now alumni of Chapel Hill Chauncy Hall School. To the class of 2020, this is your day of looking back on the time that you spent as a student here, reflection, and looking ahead at what you want to do with the lessons learned along the way. Jackin. I hope that today is a day for expressing gratitude to the people who have made this moment possible for you. This is, without question, also a day we look forward to hearing your accomplishments in the years to come as we continue the good work preparing both returning and future charters for a rapidly changing world. In terms of lessons to be learned for a life yet to live, Denise's valedictory address provides some heartfelt advice worth reiterating and absorbing a bit further. In her speech, she states, "It is not enough to simply tolerate others' differences, but we must actively engage ourselves in being anti-racist, anti-homophobic, anti-sexist, and all those other isms and phobias, educating ourselves in one another, accepting when we are wrong, so that we embrace differences in learning style and culture in a richly diverse and supportive community." To first support our mission, CHH recognizes that we must affirm this not only through our words, but also, as Denise points out, through our actions. CHH affirms our identity as an anti-racist school and furthermore commits to becoming a school that is justice-seeking and mind interactions. But we've begun to do this work in multiple areas. We know our efforts need to be consistent and transparent. Our vision is for CHH to be a school that embraces the dreams of all of our students, that teaches all community members to identify and dismantle systemic oppression, that allows all of us to be our authentic selves, and where we as a school community unequivocally say that we will be an abolitionist institute of living. Our recently released Strategic Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Plan for 2020, 2021, and beyond amplifies these strategic initiatives. Related to one specific strategic initiative, I would be remiss not to take a brief moment to publicly commend the great work of our newest graduates, Alicia Water and Caroline Burke, to create a critically important Students of Color Wellness Fund dedicated to 80 students of color at CHH in seeking, accessing, and attending mental health services in greater Waltham area. The funds for the services will be provided need-based through the Health and Wellness Office and continue to be publicized to the school community at large as part of the ongoing work to positively support the school's mission to serve all students equally, regardless of financial, social, academic, or resource basis. Thank you, Alicia and Caroline. Young scholars and graduates, we know that we believe you are worthy and valuable to our society as you commence your journey forward. We know that we have confidence in your competence. We know that we value your asymmetrical excellence and gifts in so many different directions. Your diplomas represent that belief and trust. As a school, our vision will continue to be rooted in establishing Chapel Hill Chauncy Hall as a distinguished institution for differentiated teaching within a multi-intelligence framework. We will continue to understand and appreciate the many ways in which students learn, discovering multiple entry points to learning for our students each and every day. As you set forth on this campus to journey into the world, I challenge you with the same proposition that I have presented to previous graduating classes. Will you use this degree to prove that you are the smartest person in the room? Or will you spend that capital to a certain need for a larger room, a room that includes a lot of different kinds of smart and humans? Our role and responsibility has been to push you to be alert, eager, empathic, and intellectually capable young people. We hope that we have taught you to flourish, to spread your wings as far as they can reach. Thank you, and best of luck, class of 2020. In a moment, we will conclude the commencement exercise. We appreciate your patience. The faculty and staff soon proceed to create the first ever Charger Thunder Stick receiving line along the grassy knoll front. Once the faculty and staff have taken their places, we will begin the class select recessional music. The senior will then slowly recess one at a time as instructed by our class marshals in order to say goodbye and thank the faculty and staff through the thunderous booming of Charger Thunder Sticks. We ask that each family pod await dismissal by a school official in order to meet their graduate at the end of the receiving line, collect their larger-than-life portrait from the backdrop fencing, and then kindly proceed to their vehicle for campus departure. With great discipline per order of the Massachusetts and Waltham Health Departments, we cannot allow any post-ceremony congregating with events of this size here on campus. With love in our hearts, we also ask that our graduates and their families please limit any post-ceremony off-campus gathering sizes as to ensure your ongoing health and safety before beginning the next chapter in educational journeys. With that, I now would like the talented Chapel Hill Chauncy Hall faculty and staff to come up and create our third stick receiving line while cueing the professional music. Congratulations and good day. They need help getting close to spell. Yep. Faculty staff, you want just below the knoll, and you want to be equidistant from another spread out from end to end. Keep spreading down, equidistant, with no space between. There you go. Stretch it, faculty staff, please stretch down, towards the middle, to the middle, towards the middle. All right, now graduate, you all have thirst as well under your chairs. You need to prepare to egress. You'll be queued at a time by the class marshals. Make sure you don't leave your diploma behind. Grab your diploma and your thunder sticks, and you can have a thunder spoon. You'll start in the end with Miss Henry. Miss Henry, wave your sticks. That is entry point into this thunder stick receiving line. That, let's fire up the recessional music as chosen by the class of 2020.